Oh, whoops. Welcome to the live shows, people. I had to reboot, so I am putting up the intro now. And welcome to a special episode of The Energy That Surrounds Us. Sorry, I had to think for a second, get my mind caught up on which show this is today. Because normally not on a show on a Friday night. But I am honored, blessed, and privileged to bring you not one guest, not two guests, but three guests tonight. And I know there's only two on the screen. One is going to be coming in as soon as she's ready. She's running a little bit behind, so we'll give her that. But tonight's guests have one thing in common, and that is they all are members of the Warren Legacy Foundation. Now, what makes them unique, though, is they are mediums and psychics, and they do their own things. So I am going to turn it over to Jen and let her introduce herself, and then we'll do the same for Tammy.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. I'm happy to be here. My name is Jen Rose, and I am a psychic medium. I'm a part of the Warren Legacy Foundation. And outside of that, I practice professionally as a medium. And I've been doing this work and developing for the last several years. So I'm very excited to be with you this evening.
Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being a part of this panel discussion.
Absolutely.
And I'm Tammy Christine Radin. And I have my own Tammy Christine Medium is what I go by on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, all the other channels, but I primarily focus on Facebook. And by day, I'm a court reporter. I'm not sure if you know what that is. It's the people that work in court. They have the little machine. They type 350 words a minute. That is what I do for my day job. So it's kind of like night and day what I do with mediumship. But that I'm also with the Warren Legacy Foundation as an administrator, and I am the assistant regional manager for the Southern region.
Very cool. And Tammy, I gotta ask, how do you do 350 minutes of work a minute? That just doesn't seem possible.
It's difficult, but the hardest thing about my job is listening to dialect, accents, and being able to do that at those rapid speeds. So it's you have to decipher what they're saying while you're also going that quickly. So it takes time. It's a specialized thing you go to school for, and we have like a 3% pass rate actually. So it's very, limited on the amount of people. We actually have a shortage. So anybody out there that thinks they can type really fast, maybe you want to check into it.
I wonder, Tammy, does that help you?
I've often, actually, I've had this thought many, many times. And actually, in reality, I believe it does. Part of my job is to disassociate with the emotion from what's happening in the room, because it could be a murder trial. It could be something that's very, hard to listen to. You're listening to facts about people's lives, and they have to go into the background. So I think as a result of such, you have to be emotionless. You can't laugh about something. You can't, sit there and get verbally upset and show emotion. So I think it tends to lend me into a place where I'm quieting my mind more than the normal person, because I have to. So that in itself is part of mediumship, quieting our minds, being able to blank out all the thoughts, being able to like literally kind of go somewhere that is a non-existent place in our heads so that we can receive from spirit.
That's true. True.
And so, Jen, what got you started in mediumship? Was it something you were born with, or did you learn over time?
It is something that I have had since I can remember. I had different experiences throughout childhood where I would see and hear things. And I didn't understand it. And I was very scared of it. And as I got older, I began to suppress it. And it stayed suppressed for a very long time. And then I went through a pretty turbulent period in my life several years ago. And as things started to calm down and I was in a far better place, the mediumship came in full force. I was hearing music, voices, like, am I losing my mind? And I said, I know what this is, and I better learn how to deal with it. And that's what got me started on this path.
So I think a question that's on everyone's mind is, we hear a lot of times people will say, I'm psychic, not a medium, or I'm a medium, not a psychic, or like you said, you're a psychic medium. How do you determine which category you're going to call yourself?
Do you want to take that, Tammy, or would you like me to start?
I certainly can. I'll start. You can finish.
All right.
Okay, so when we mentor, and Jen and I have the same mentors, actually, we have mentored with. We have mentored with Cindy Keza and Natalie Lobo, and both of these women are exceptional. Cindy, you've probably seen her on many television shows that she's been on for a while. And I wish those shows were continuing. This is my message to the networks. What are you doing? Okay. Anyway, moving on now. But honestly, they have mentored us in a very loving and gentle and kind way. And the understanding that we have is everyone is psychic. Everyone has the ability to be psychic, to pick up on intuition, to pick up on little innuendo, little things through energy, through energetic vibration. However, mediums are connecting to departed loved ones. Mediums are connecting to beyond this realm. So all mediums are psychic, but all psychics are not necessarily mediums. And psychics pick up on what, Jen?
Yeah, I was going to say, Tammy really nailed that explanation. And a lot of us, there's this whole thing around labels with mediums and psychics, and are they the same? Are they not the same?
Exactly.
Some of us, just for ease, call ourselves psychic mediums. I do both. I know Tammy does both. I see clients for psychic readings. I also work with clients for mediumship readings. So the labels, it really depends on how you practice. And I know that I do both. So it's truth in advertising with me. It's truth in advertising with Tammy.
Yeah.
If you want to add anything on to that, please do, Tammy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's good. And Jen's right. Everyone kind of gets weighed down in the labels. I know I flipped once I kind of had my awakening and I embraced, because I had also suppressed. I had seen an apparition when I was 8 years old. And that was my first experience. And it was terrifying. It was literally terrifying. But after that happened, I started to, of course, doubt everything. Was I making this up? Was this my imagination? And that is kind of back in the day in the 70s, when I was a little kid, this was all taboo. We didn't talk about this stuff. This was,
Right.
If you were hearing voices, if you were seeing things, you needed to go to the mental institution.
You were crazy.
Yeah, it's just kind of the way that, and that's kind of called the satanic panic era.
Yeah.
Back in the early 70s. Hey, Steph.
Hey, Steph.
So just
hey guys, sorry I'm late.
You're good.
Oh, no worries. We actually just got started, really.
Yeah. So just to conclude on that, I mean, I think that it's just one of those things where you change and you learn and you develop and you grow.
Mhm.
And labels can hold you back. Labels are something that really can make you sit back and go, well, what really am I? And put that doubt in your head. So, it's better just to get through it, call yourself what you think you are, what you're capable of, and move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Stephanie, tell us about yourself.
She's down there. Tammy,
Yeah,
she's
I'm down.
not over there.
Well, this is the part where I have to kind of shift focus off of you guys and onto me, and I don't like talking about myself. I don't know why. I just don't like to talk about myself. But well, okay. So long story short, I met these wonderful ladies through the Warren Foundation, and they're just wonderful and they're great. And they've helped me grow and develop in ways that they don't even know. But I come from a place where, like I heard Tammy saying earlier, where things were, happening all throughout my life. I didn't understand them, but I did not vocalize them. I did not share them with anybody because of, those side eyes and those glares. And then if you have mental illness in your family like I do, it gets kind of brushed off as, oh, well, maybe you've got that, passed down to you. I did have an aunt who was pretty much institutionalized her entire life because she saw things that nobody else did. And she was labeled with a mental illness, but, growing up and now realizing that, me and her could have shared the same experiences, I kind of have to wonder if
I was about to say
was really going on with her.
Misunderstood.
Yeah.
It's true.
Exactly.
And I know, as a child, I know that my mother and my grandmother had these abilities, but they were very hush about them. And as it became obvious that I was experiencing the same things, they clued me in to an extent, but not enough to be able to really understand and grow with it. So,
yeah.
And that's the same.
Even now.
Oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
Sorry, Tammy. No, it's okay.
You're fine. Go.
Okay. I was going to say, even now I kind of hold back a lot. I'm very reserved. I've got high walls. I don't share a whole lot of things with people. Friends that I've known for decades don't even know about me and what I can do. And so it's, this is all kind of new for me. So when I talk about myself, I don't like to label myself. I don't know what to call myself. I don't feel comfortable saying that I'm this versus that. I'm just not there yet. But you go and you have a lot of fun. You meet new people and just kind of learn and grow.
I have to agree. I don't share a lot of what I can do until I'm put in the moment, and then I'm like, well, this is what I'm getting, and they're like, you can do that? I'm like, yeah. I just don't publicize it because it's not what I consider strong suit in not something that I do on a regular basis. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to get inundated with people going, oh, what do you see about this? What do you see about that? And I'm like, I don't. I'm sorry. Not that kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Or
important.
you get the side eye, and I'm sorry.
You're fine. I was just going to say, it's also important to note on that, you know, we don't walk around like, at one point in my life, yes, I think I probably walked around crown chakra open, like wide open the whole time.
When we're first learning, we all do that.
Exactly. Not shutting down, not understanding that I need to know how to turn this off and just be me in the present moment and enjoy life and not have to be constantly receiving. But that's part of training, and that's part of learning. And most of us, we have to shut down. It's imperative for our protection and our health that we shut down. So we don't walk around going to the grocery store and to the gas station just fully open and, oh, what am I going to get today? You know, it's our time in that realm has to be a little bit more controlled, or it does overwhelm. It does cause issues.
Absolutely. And that is one of the reasons why training and development, and I'm talking ongoing development. I still develop. I was with Cindy and Natalie last weekend in Philadelphia at a workshop for my development. But to learn to control those abilities, to understand them better, and how to protect yourself and how to protect others around you that you're working with.
Right.
And it's a never-ending process. There is always more to learn, and the abilities over time can change as well.
And, that's true. And the other one category, because everybody now has different labels, and I don't per se know if they're the same thing or similar, is now we have a world where we have people who say, I channel this. And I'm wondering, your guys' perception of, is that being a medium? Is that being psychic? Or is that a totally different skill?
Channeling, from what I have been taught and what I have read, is a different skill set within mediumship.
Correct.
So a channel is opening themselves up for the spirit to communicate directly through them by entering their energy, their body, and communicating through the medium as their conduit. That is a channel. If someone is saying, oh, I'm channeling these messages, that's kind of not what they're doing. What they're doing really is mediumship. And I think that's why channeling gets so confused with what it actually is. So that's my understanding and belief of it and how I explain it to others.
And I think to extend on that a little bit, like I have channeled accidentally early on when I was an investigator on my team, Afterlife Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. We were at a location and it was total happenstance. I did not intend to do it. It just happened. And I can say that what it is it's letting that soul, that departed loved one, that departed person, their essence actually comes so close to you that it enters your own energetic field within you. And it can actually cause your voice to change tone. It can cause your words to change. It can cause emotion to be overrun with you as an individual, with your actual physical body. So it's allowing the information you're receiving to get into you, to come way, way deep within your soul. Yeah. And it's actually being shown throughout your own body to the sitter.
And it really is, it's an entirely different animal within the world of mediumship, because it's called trance mediumship is Correct. What it is, because your physical and energetic body, you're still there, but you're letting that spirit who's communicating drive for you. And it takes a different energetic toll on the people who do it. And it is not something certainly that every medium does or even wants to do. I know mediums who do not want to do it. It's a skill I would love to learn, and I've taken some classes on it, and I've been able to get to certain points, but you have to have a complete trust to be able to let go of that total control, and I'm not there yet.
And you also have to be I feel like you need to actually be well-rounded enough to know that the soul that is trying to come that close to you is a safe soul to do this.
Right.
That's very important, because you are, in a sense, allowing the soul, the spirit, to take over talking for you, to take over your actions and your mind for that moment while you're in that channel. So it's very important to know what you're dealing with, what is communicating with you, to even allow it to begin with.
And that makes total sense.
That's a really strong point there, Tammy.
Yeah. Go ahead, Stephanie.
I was just going to say that's a very strong point Tammy's making, because a lot of people will go out there and open themselves up to everything and not realizing that, I mean, there's a lot out there. There's good, the bad, the ugly. And if you go into a situation where you're saying, no, it's okay, enter me, enter my body, take over me, I give you permission, you're giving everything permission. And that's not something you want to do. You definitely want to have some guard up, some, you know, I have trust issues, so I'm like shielded no matter where I go. Just in general life, I have trust issues, so I'm always on guard and protected. And that doesn't mean that every time you do that, something bad is going to happen, but you just don't know. You just don't know. And the one time that you do it and something bad happens, you don't know how to get rid of it. There's a lot of people that would not be experienced enough to recognize where their thoughts and their energy begin and where that other one starts too. It's just, it's very dangerous.
Exactly. And it's something that really I would not go into unless you are already an experienced medium, and then you are training with someone who knows exactly what they are doing.
And you also have people there that can watch you and look for those signs and look for symptoms of too much, and something seems off, something's not right, to bring you out of it if you're unable to yourself.
Right. Never even try it when you're by yourself, ever.
And what's interesting is, like Tammy was commenting, the voice changes. And I was doing a channel session where I was channeling, and somebody came up to me afterwards and actually gave me a little comment to me that was like the ultimate validation that I truly did just do what I think I did. And she goes, "Your eyes changed." And I was like, okay, I can alter my voice if I wanted to. I'm sure, a lot of people can. So they may say, well, the voice may not be proof you're really channeling this person. But I was like, changing eyes, now that is something with a whole nother ball game. So
that's
I was
true.
like, there you go.
Appearances can change on the medium who is doing this. So their appearance, their features can change, eye color can change to match the spirit who's communicating through them. So it's very fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, and then there are levels of transmediumship as well.
Right.
So within channeling and transmediumship, there are actually levels within that as well of how deep that channeling experience is.
Yeah.
Wow. And one question, I'm glad, Stephanie, you're here for this one too, because I'd like your input on this too, is you're seeing a lot of people now using the clairs and all these titles coming out. I'm Claire this, I'm Claire that. What do you feel like those are just people who are like you, but just don't want to be mixed in with everybody else and trying to let the ego in a way say I'm more special because I'm this or that.
I think it's really just based on personal preference and with what that person is comfortable with. It also lets others know, because there's people out there that look for people with these abilities. They want to work with them. They want to get information. Maybe they have an issue or a problem. Something happened, and they want to get their perspective, their advice on that. So, if I was I was going to say a normal person, but I know I'm not normal, so it's weird to hear me say that. if I didn't have all this going on with me, and all of a sudden, like, I could hear things, I might want to seek out somebody who was clairaudient, so that I can tell them what I'm experiencing and get their input on it, their feedback. Mm-hmm. So I think in that respect, that is a good thing. It puts them out there. They're there to help people. They're there to guide. I don't believe it's associated with ego. One, I can't say that it is because I don't know those people. I don't know anything about them, and I would be out of line to say that they would be doing that as for ego. I just think that some people are comfortable with using those titles, and some people aren't. It's really just based on their personal preference.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with Stephanie with that. I think for some people, just saying I'm clairvoyant may just feel better for them than to say I'm a psychic or to say I'm a medium. I'm clairvoyant. And really what the clairs are is just how, hi Bill, how you receive your information. There's clairvoyance, obviously you see things. Clairaudience, you're hearing things. Clairsentience, you feel things. And everybody has a clair if you do this work that's really strong. And then you have a couple of others that you work with. But I don't think I know anyone who works with every single clair.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I just meant ego as in, I wasn't meaning like dark place. I just was meaning just to like establish themselves a little differently than others. And so thank you for that. And
it may be that they're better at one than another. So perhaps like my claircognizance, where I just get downloads and I just hear telepathically things I just know, that could be stronger, my strongest clair this month. Next month it may change or alter. So someone somewhere may feel that, oh, I pick up on emotion, so that's why I'm a clairsentient primarily. But maybe they don't want to professionally practice, or they don't want to label themselves and go there and open the whole spectrum of clairs and then call themselves a psychic medium. They just want to stick with what they're comfortable with. And that's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay. Another popular term that people refer to themselves as is an empath. And that's really okay. So you feel things very deeply. So it's a clairsentient, but people are comfortable more with that term, and that's perfectly fine. So, and some people I'm sure do it to set themselves apart. Right now, calling yourself an intuitive instead of a psychic is also very, very popular, but they're the same thing.
Right. And I have to say, it's funny when I use the word intuitive or intuition, like gut feeling, because I'm sure a lot of you listening grew up and you always heard woman's intuition, never male's intuition. So I always thought it wasn't a thing. And then when I started getting it and they're going, well, I have this feeling, they're like, yeah, that's your intuition. I'm like, but I'm not a female. And so I was like, how am I getting an intuition? And it was like, I never thought that was a thing for our gender, because we were always told women's intuition. So it was like a shock to me when I realized, oh, it's on both spectrums. Okay.
Yeah, men get it just as well as women. So I think that The whole women's intuition thing is probably because women are more open about talking about it and accepting it than men are, which is probably where that phrase came from. That's me guessing, but I think that's probably what it is. But I know some very intuitive men. So.
Yeah, I think women are just more open about their emotions and their feelings, and they vocalize them more than men would. But when you said that, Michael, I was thinking about my husband, and I'm like, yeah, I would never refer to him as intuitive or have an intuition, but he does get feelings. He calls me, I have a feeling that something's going to happen, or there's going to be something that pops up, but we always call it a feeling. I have a feeling.
Yeah. Or the other one was, I was told as being a guy going, trust your gut. What does your gut say? So we were always directed to the gut. And it's like, if your gut says it's okay, you're good. And I never put together your gut is your intuition. I was thinking two separate things.
The solar plexus.
The solar plexus. That's that energy center there that connects you to that information you receive.
Right.
So that's why it's that gut feeling.
So you heard it here, folks. We're equal on the intuition field. Maybe.
I know when I do work with male clients and they'll tell me something and they'll ask, well, is this correct? One of the first questions I will ask, and I think I do it unconsciously, is what does your gut tell you? Where if I'm with a woman, I'll ask, what does your intuition say?
It's true.
Yeah. I'm the same way when I'm helping friends. I'll be like, if they're females, I'll be like, follow your heart, follow your intuition. Guys, I'm like, do what your gut tells you. Follow your gut. It's like, for some reason, there's this disconnect.
Agreed.
Yeah. That is strange. I wonder if it's because, I don't know, maybe it has to do with like men have to be stronger and more firm, and
I think it is a stigma.
And women are just more vulnerable.
Yeah, I think it's a stigma. It's a lot of gender stereotyping. But yeah,
like boys aren't supposed to cry, right? Like there's no crying in baseball, right? Please, exactly.
That's one of my favorite lines from a movie. I love that line.
No crying in baseball.
I always wanted to take that line and go, there's no crying in baseball, but there is in softball. Just to be funny and be like, and I think that was the League of Their Own that said that.
Yes,
it was.
That's the film.
Yeah.
But and the other thing too, Stephanie, I feel like is males are told we're actually the protectors. But when you go back and you look at ancient times and everything, it wasn't the guys that were doing the protecting. So I don't know where that stereotype came from.
And in some cultures, it's quite the opposite too. Like in some cultures, the men will stay home and guard over the house, and the women go and hunt and bring home. They're the hunter gatherers. So that is quite an interesting topic for sure.
Yeah, and I mean it's fun when you think of it's funny when you think about it, because like if we went out and say killed a tiger or killed moose, we come back and we're like, hey, look what we brought. We have no idea what to do with this. We're just like, here, you're the expert. We just brought it. It's like we went to the store and brought it for you.
Where we have to dress and prepare it. Yep.
Veronica. Hi, Veronica. That's my buddy right there.
Aww.
But yes, and the other thing too is I don't know if it's something that just I perceived, but I noticed growing up when it came to like the mediums that were out there in public, they were like 80, 90% female, not many men. So it's like when people were like, well, you're going to channel, I was like, I think in the back of my mind, I was like, no, I'm not, because I'm a guy. And it's like we don't do that, and it's like, and I struggled for a while to do it because when I finally decided I wanted to do it, I couldn't do it, and I was like, well, you told me I was going to do it, maybe it is, and then one day it just turned on.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it could have also happened the time, that moment when you decided you were going to do it. That's when it opened for you.
I think actually how it worked for me was when I decided I was going to do it, I decided I'm going to do it right now, and I didn't have the patience for it. So I was like, I was expecting it to just, like everything else in my life, just click in, it activates, and just use it. And I was like, it didn't happen. And so I was like, it wasn't until the day I just totally had forgotten that I had said I would do it that all of a sudden it's like I was talking to a friend, and a friend looked at me, and I was like, what? He goes, do you even know what you just said? And I was like, no. What were we talking about? And he's like, you just started channeling. I was like, no way. I tried. I couldn't do it. I gave up on it. And they were like, boom, that's when it happened.
Yeah, with that old saying, if you try too hard, it's not going to happen. You just
Right.
gotta relax and.
Mm-hmm. And
And
then
then-
it happens when you least expect it to.
Yeah.
Right.
But one question I want to make sure we share with everyone, because I know there are people out there that are like on their own thinking, I don't know who to reach out to because I don't know who to trust. And they're trying to develop all of this on their own. What can they do to protect themselves?
Well, that's a long answer that kind of takes a little bit to to address, because without knowing the person and what their gifts are and what their intentions are, and what they've already done, I would say the first and I guess the best thing you should do is find some people near you, find a mentor, a group, take a class if you could, because that's a great way to meet other people that you can you can talk to and bounce ideas off of and develop a relationship with. And it's very important because you want to be able to kind of bond with people that are just like you. It gives you an outlet to talk. Sometimes things happen and they're scary, or you don't understand, and you just need, hey, what do you think about this? I do it with Tammy and Jen all the time. Something will happen, or I'll have a dream and I know it means something, but I'm like, oh, what do you guys think? What do you feel this is? And they can either say, oh, you're off your rocker, it was nothing, or they'll say, what do you think? What were you feeling? And things like that. It's very healthy to have a group around you. It's your safe space. If you don't have the support within your family or in the friend base that you have, it's wonderful to have others that you can go to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, if it's someone who's just coming into their abilities and they're nervous about it, that is entirely normal. But I'm going to echo what Stephanie said. Take a class or find, there are circles, mediumship circles, spiritual circles that you can join online or in your area, depending on the area you're in, where you can meet others like you. And you can meet people who are more advanced, maybe perhaps who teach or mentor. I know Tammy and I both do that. And who can help guide you. And we can, as you develop your abilities, also teach you how to protect yourself and shut them down.
Yeah. And listen, take it slow.
Yeah.
Take it slow. There is not, this is not, the old tortoise and the hare thing, it's better to open these abilities slowly so that you have a thorough understanding and you're able to provide yourself with that needed protection, because you're not only protecting yourself physically, you're protecting your mind, your body, and your soul. You're protecting all of your aura, the entire being that you are. And that's very, very important, because if you just willy-nilly, hey, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to open my crown chakra and I'm going to start doing all these things and here I go, you could be setting yourself up for something that you aren't equipped to deal with, to handle.
Right.
And it could take you on a completely another course of action that you did not want to be at.
Yeah.
So it's important to go slow, have a mentor, join a mediumship circle, and know that along the way, there's going to be times that you feel like you're completely detached, that you can't even do what you're doing. And there's going to be times that you're amazed by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, drop all of that away and just go back to ground, go back to center. It's very important to ground. It's very important to center your energy. Every and each time that you open yourself up, you have to go back and do that again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is a process that I know for me happens multiple times a day, where I will ground my energy. And it's just because I have put myself out there, either working with a client or in a specific situation where I needed to open myself up so I could get additional information surrounding that situation. So definitely, these groups exist. And I saw that Andrea posted about our psychic support group, which is awesome. It's a great place. And there are places where you can practice. There are mentors that you can work with. And I think we have all seen what can happen when someone dives in head first at 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And it never turns out well.
Yeah. Tammy and Jen, you both have used a term that I feel like is an important term. And I'm getting the feeling, call it intuition, that all three of you do this differently. And I'm curious your methods, and that is grounding.
Yeah. I think we all have different methods of grounding depending on what works for us. So I will ground in several different ways depending on what I have been doing. If I have been working with a number of clients in a day, I will make sure that I then, at the end of my day, I sit in salt water. I sit in salt and I cleanse my energy. And what I do is I send it with the intention that I am returning energy that does not belong to me back to Mother Earth to be replenished and repurposed for the greater good. So I'm transmuting that energy. If it is something where I'm feeling like I just need to ground, it's been a day and I've kind of been opened up to certain situations, I will take my deep breaths. I'll do the box breathing, the 4x4 box breathing. I will use, actually I have it right here, hematite, which is a favorite grounding stone. And I will stand with my feet in the grass just to pull my energy back in and release what does not belong to me. And if I've been working with anything really heavy, I will do a cord cutting, which energetically cuts the cords between me and another person or another energy that I have been working with. Those are my processes. I'll let the other girls, sorry, that was a little long. But
very well stated. And I won't repeat what Jen said, but our processes aren't a whole lot different. I do also the salt baths. And I have this thing, it's just me. I've done this forever, but when I do the salt in the water, it always goes in a cross. And that's how I lay the salt into the water. And I do say prayers as well. I do pray for protection. And I will typically add some lavender essential oil into the water, put on some soft meditation music, and I will ground after a long day of readings or connecting to energies. I too cord cut just like Jen. If the energy's too heavy, if it's yucky, if it's something that is lingering and I can feel that, even though I've already tried to ground and give the energy back to the higher source, I may have to cord cut as well. That does happen. It happens very often.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite thing, just for like if I've had a long day and it's just been, a day, I'm feeling unfocused, uncentered, I need to ground. My favorite is to go out barefoot under the light of the moon and just literally soak in the moon and be barefoot in the grass. I'm an earth element. I'm a Taurus, so I'm all about earth.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, my go-to is gardening. So I will get out there barefoot, no shoes, and just get in the yard and garden, get my hands in the dirt and just start tending to my plants or my flowers. I'll repot them and just get out there and just connect with the earth. And as I'm doing that, I'm just intentionally releasing everything. I also do salt showers and salt baths. That especially after something that's been very taxing. I don't have to do that too often, but I do those as well. But my favorite thing besides gardening is listening to shamanic drum beating. And I have my favorites that are on YouTube that I'll pull up and listen to. And it's just something about that music that just, it sends me to another place, and I'm able to release everything that way as well. And then I burn Palo Santo daily. Like I waft in that stuff. When I wake up, I'm like lighting it. When I go to bed, I light it and just make sure that, I've got some dragon's blood going sometimes, because even just the smells can help me kind of relax and release things that way as well. And of course, cord cutting. I do that too.
And music is huge, because I'm glad you brought music up. Music is another one of my go-tos, just to clear my head, just to quiet the mind. Before every reading, I have certain songs that I like to hear and play and just feel the vibration, put my arms up, feel that vibration. And then once things are over, I also have a specific song that I play to my guides and my angels to thank them for showing up for me in life.
Mm-hmm. And I think everybody has their different grounding rituals, and music is important to me. My preferences are Tibetan singing bowls, and also Native American flute are my two go-tos if I really need to center and calm myself and really go within and just kind of push everything away. So,
and healing tones are wonderful. Also.
Yeah.
I love those. There's a new one that I'm trying to get a hold of it. The rain drum. Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my hands on one, because when the raindrops hit it, it makes a tone, and it's just so soothing and calming. So I'm going to get one too and stick it in my garden.
Yeah, I can see how. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Michael. I was going to ask the girls if they also do. I like to do the white light meditation. I use it as a protection and as like a centering or a grounding activity too.
Mm-hmm.
I do that with my cord cutting.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Tammy.
Oh, and I listen to 963 megahertz, which is God's tone. Yes. I listen to that in my ears when I go to sleep. I have this wonderful, cool face mask that I love it. But it has speakers in the ears.
I have one of those too.
I love it so much. And you can play its Bluetooth, or it also comes with like nature sounds and stuff. And I'll listen to that too to go to sleep at night. And it's really crazy, because I've noticed that lately I'll hear the first song, I'll be whooshed off to sleep, to Neverland in my sleep. And then it seems like when it starts over again, that's when I wake up, usually for the first time. And it's like, oh, it's starting over again, and I'm right back to sleep. So it's a wonderful thing, though, to listen to while you sleep. If you're one of those people that needs ambient noise, put on some green noise, put on 963 megahertz. It's just known as God's tone. Things like that.
I was going to say, I can tell there's a difference between guys, because for me, when I go and I need to go within, I'll put Enya on, or like
I know
something
a lot of guys
that has
yeah.
bass. So, like Imagine Dragons, I can put them on and I can go quiet my mind to that.
It's whatever works with your vibrational energy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
But obviously you want to avoid like dark, heavy music or, hard rock, things like that, because it vibrates a different way.
Yeah, I'm not going to sleep with Megadeth on.
Exactly.
Before I ask the next question, Irish Whiskey Paranormal has a question for you, Jen, because you talked about the hematite.
Yes.
And he says, is that the Blackstone?
It's one of it's almost a silvery black stone. And I mean, there's black onyx, there's black tourmaline. There are a number of black stones that are really good for grounding and also for protection. And hematite, I have found, just vibrates really well for me. And honestly, I'm holding it in my hand and I can feel the vibration in it now. So it works beautifully, but it is kind of that silver black. I don't know how well you can see it, but yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, hematite is magnetic, isn't it?
Yes.
I was just thinking that.
So Nicole Gaspard has been chiming in, and she says Calling All Angels from Train is her favorite too.
That's one of my songs, Nicole. You know that. That's one of my songs. I actually just got to see them about a week ago in concert, and it was amazing. And they opened with that number.
Lucky.
I am. I can't say I'm not. I am lucky.
Andrea brings up a good point. Shungite.
Yes.
You guys use Shungite, and I think Moldavite.
Yep, I have that on my necklace, Moldavite, right here.
And I'm trying to think what the other one is.
There's also
Orgonite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a number of orgonite pyramids that I'll use for meditation. And then this is onyx. Mm-hmm. So that's my onyx stone. But yeah, there are a lot of really good stones out there for grounding. Tiger's Eye is another great one, Nicole. So I find it's whatever works for you vibrationally, where you feel the most connected to that stone.
Yeah.
Here's my Numite bracelet right here.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh, nice.
That is pretty.
And it's really
Irish Whiskey brings up the Gregorian chants. Those
yeah. I love Gregorian chants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the question I was going to ask before this is something that I know a lot of people deal with, and no one ever really answers clearly. And I'm just curious, not how you guys would tell someone how to do it, but what you do for yourselves. And that is shielding, so that you're not going out in public and picking up all the energy around where you're at.
Well, for me, it's just intention and a thought. And it's just, that's it. I'm going to the grocery store. That's it. I'm not going to get nothing. I'm going to the store. I'm going to shop. I'm not going to be disturbed. That's the easiest way for me. I don't have to say anything. It's just a thought for me. I'm going to the store and I'm not going to be bothered. I'm going to bed and I'm not going to be bothered. I'm going to my friend's house and I'm not going to be bothered. And it works for me.
And I typically, I tend to use, if I'm really feeling overwhelmed or distraught, or there's some reason for me to feel like that there's an energetic boundary around me that needs to be deflected. I will, in my mind's eye, put mirrors in front of me, like around me, so that the energy bounces off the mirrors back.
Ooh, I like that. I've never heard that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good technique. I have what I call my blue bubble. And it is blue because that is the color for the Archangel Michael, who is the angel of protection. And I surround myself, my energy in that bubble and set the intention that no negative energies can enter that bubble.
Right. And I have found, and maybe it's the way my mind works, is the very first time I went out and was picking up everything, and I was like, okay, shield myself, and created the shield and no longer felt everything. I then said, okay, I want this in effect every time I step out of my house, out of my car, out of, in this area. So it's like, for me, it's automatic. So I never have to think, oh, did I shield up? I'm like, it's automatic.
Mhm.
And do you guys have that where you have certain things you're like, hey, as soon as I sit in this position or I'm in this room, this is automatically done?
Yep. As soon as I leave my house, it's automatic. As soon as I leave my house. And
Yeah.
I can choose to
Same for me.
lower that if I need to. And obviously I do when working with clients or on an investigation, I will lower it to a degree so I can feel energies. But most of my day, a normal day, my shields are up. I go out, my shields are up. So
And Irish Whiskey is asking, what do you think about standing between mirrors, facing, reflecting off each other? I think that's more of a paranormal question.
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went immediately.
Yeah, mine too.
Creating a portal in a sense, because you have two mirrors facing off.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of creating an energetic balance between something beyond this world and that world, and the two mirrors are reflecting so it can pass through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting you say portal, Tammy, because I've been told, and I was taught and read, when you create a room that has mirrors on all four sides, in essence, you created a trap, and whatever is in there is forever in there because it cannot escape, because the mirror will put it right back into the same room. So they cannot escape from any of the mirrors. And so it's interesting you say portal, and I've always heard it as trap.
When
Go ahead, Steph.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I was thinking about the devil's trap. There's a device called the devil's trap where paranormal teams will take 4 mirrors and have them face each other in a box. And that is supposed to like open up a channel. I have never tried that. I don't know anybody who has.
No.
But I know that there are some out there that will experiment with that device. And I have not seen anybody try it. But I have read stories about, this is how you do it. And, I had a friend once who wanted to put a digital recorder in the middle of it and see what would happen. But I don't know if he ever got around to doing that.
Right. And I mean, it also makes me think of a psychomantium that you set up to basically communicate with entities who may be using portal energy. So, yeah.
Yeah. Nicole, I don't think you can ever watch too much Star Trek. I'm sorry.
No, Nicole, never too much Star Trek.
Not at all.
Now, it's interesting too.
We're all doing it now. Okay.
With
I can't do it. My finger's long.
Just make them do it, and then hold them up real quick.
Yeah, you go like this. You put your hand up, and then you just put one on the other.
Yes,
there you go.
You got it. You got it.
No, I broke this,
you do
I broke
it
this
reverse.
finger when I was a kid, so I can't squeeze it together. It's stuck like that.
Oh.
I have to hold
Well, we'll give it to you, Stephanie. We'll say you did it.
Thank you.
But I'm wondering, when you guys are on investigations, doing your own thing, the 2 rooms that I feel always have the strangest, creepiest energy And this is my personal take, is the room with all the dolls, or a room that has mirrors all around and has every wall a mirror.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Mirrors, dolls, and clowns.
Mirrors, dolls, clowns,
Yeah.
attics, and cellars.
Yeah, I can go into a cellar. I'll go into an attic, but if there's like a clown in the cellar, forget it. No.
No. You got mirrors in the attic. I don't want to be in there. I'm not doing that.
How about you, Tammy?
I really don't know how to answer that one, because I've been on a number of locations, and it's not, I can say generally basements, attics, mirrors, dolls, yes, but it's kind of it's hit and miss. It's just depending on where you are. I've had perfectly normal places, or even businesses that we've been at, where it's like, for some reason, it's this corner of the room for no reason at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's true. That's true. I mean, there are places that, I've been in dining rooms that have had energies in them. So it isn't always the typical attic cellar clown doll.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it just depends on the property, the location, the energy that the room itself is holding. So
Yeah. There is one location, and I've only ever stepped foot near. I haven't gone in because I didn't have time to go in when I was there. And if you've ever been to Jefferson, it's in the Jefferson Hotel in Texas, is they have a disappointments room. And what these are rooms where if a child was born out of wedlock or had a deformity, they were locked away and taken care of, but never allowed to see daylight or see anyone other than who brought their food. And the energy that just comes off of that room, I was sitting maybe 5 feet from the entrance, and it was like super thick to me.
yeah.
And so I'm wondering, have you guys ever, in your investigations, come across a room like that?
Yeah, many times. One I can think of specifically, there's, and I'm not sure if anyone's been to Hill House, Mineral Wells, Texas, but there's a specific room in that house that just gives off that same vibe. You just don't even hardly want to walk in. It's almost as if you walk forward and you're walking into a wall of mud or sludge, and it just feels very bad energetically. There's one that we did an investigation down in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, at an old psychiatric hospital, and it's no longer there. They've actually torn it down.
Broken Bow Asylum?
But it was the same way. It was the same way that you get to a certain point and it's like, whoa, and it almost backs you up because you can feel the energy.
It is. I've been to that one 5 times, and yeah. How about you, Stephanie?
I think there was one location that I went to where you could sense a lot of sadness and feel that heaviness, and it was actually in an old house that was taken from Native Americans, Native Indian. It was taken from the indigenous people, and it was colonized, and they actually had those indigenous people still moving through there after that time, and there was a convergence between indigenous peoples, and then we had slaves. And so in this one particular location in the cellar, it was like in the basement. Nobody would go down to the basement, but we spent a whole night down there. You could just sense the sadness. The kitchen was in the basement for some reason. they just had a big, huge fireplace down there, and that's where the kitchen was. To, believe it or not, the kitchen was in the basement with the big fireplace, and it was 3 big, huge rooms, from what I can remember, a couple of smaller rooms. But to know the amount of people that were underneath the home in that time, with the fireplace going and the cooking, and that was heavy. And you can just imagine and sense the sadness of how those people lived at that time. And then we found out that the chief that actually lived on the land before he got pushed off was actually killed nearby in just a freak accident. He was riding his horse, and he was either racing or something happened. He was thrown from the horse and he broke his neck. So actually died on the property where this home was. So the convergence of those two cultures together in that one location just kind of doubled the energy there. And before we got there, there was a team that they were in the cellar, and they all got spooked. They saw something, and every single one of them turned tail and ran up the stairs and refused to go back down there. We didn't experience anything like that when we got there. Sadness is what we felt. We didn't have anything scary happen, and we didn't pick up anything that they did, unfortunately, because that would have been, I would have welcomed to see what they saw, but it didn't happen. We just, sadness, to be down there in the confined spaces with all those people was just not very good feeling.
Yeah, and that's a good point about the energies, because a lot of the times when I'm on investigations, we will feel that the energies colliding. There are two different realms, maybe 2 different time periods, maybe 2 different races, 2 different religions, whatever it is, have occupied or inhibited that space, and the energies are just colliding. They're not getting along, and it's creating that negative activity, that negative feeling. So sometimes it's not always something terrible. It's just you have 2 converging energies that do not match energetically, and they're bouncing off each other, and they can't get along. Just as in life, if they were together in the same room, they wouldn't be getting along.
Yeah. Stephanie, Nicole is asking if it's the Myrtles plantation.
No, it is not. This place is in North Georgia, near Dalton.
But I was thinking about, being in Texas in the summer. I could see why they would put the kitchen in the basement, because it's hot. So the cold of the basement would kind of keep the temperature from heating up the whole house. So maybe that's why they put it down there.
I don't know. Most of the homes, the historical homes down here in Georgia, had outdoor kitchens. So the main house usually would just have living space, bedrooms, living rooms, salons, places for people to come and entertain and sit. But a lot of the times there were outdoor buildings where the kitchens were. Mostly because there's a lot of slave plantation, historical places that had slaves. And so the slave quarters would be outside. The kitchens would be outside because the slaves would be in the kitchen cooking. And then they would be separate from the main house. That's the only place that I know that had the kitchen in the basement like that. But I'm not originally from the South. I'm from the North, and I've only been in Georgia since the 90s. So that may be a Southern thing. I'm not sure. But all the historical places we've been to have had either indoor kitchens or kitchens that were outside of the main home, the main location. That was the first one I've ever seen where it was in the basement like that. With a big, huge, the fireplace was huge. It must have been like as tall as me and as wide, 5 feet. Tall and 5 feet wide. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I don't want to picture what else they could be doing down there with the fireplace like that. Oh my, no, I don't want to put a dark image to this house.
Yeah, nothing dark like that happened there. I'm pretty sure they made cornbread and stuff.
I'm like, when you were saying that, I was starting to think, could it be like a Holmes Castle kind of house? And going, oh boy.
Uh,
No, and we're actually, I just realized we're 10 minutes over the hour. Are you guys okay to go a little bit more? Or do you need to get going to something else?
Yeah, I have a 5-year-old that I let him stay up a little late tonight because it is Friday, but I need to get him onto bed.
Okay, well, we can wrap it up here. And
Cool.
thank you all for sharing how you got your gifts and how you utilize them in investigations and in your personal careers if you have them in that aspect. So thank you for sharing that with us, and I hope you all had fun, and hopefully we can do this again. And Tammy and Jen will get this joke, but hopefully I came through clear through this show. And
You did. No issue. No issue.
so thank you
Andrea.
all, and thank you to the Warren Legacy Foundation for bringing you guys together. Andrea, you are awesome at bringing guests together to do these shows. And so hopefully we can have you on again. And Tammy had a request to do something, so I'm going to turn it over her.
Oh, you want me to say? You want me to? Okay. Well, I thought that if we had enough audience members that wanted, what we could do at some point is to do kind of like live readings. So just kind of chime in and let Michael know through social media if that's something that you'd like, that you would want to get on here and get a personal live reading. And we can model those, like little 5 to 7 minutes, through chat, or Michael's going to work on different modalities of getting people involved so that we have an easier time to do such.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do it.
Oh, we already have one. So thank you so much. And wherever you are in the world, make it a blessed day, evening, afternoon, or if you're asleep, have sweet dreams. And fill each day with love and joy. And I think we all are in agreement of, if you feel like you have abilities or gifts, find someone to help develop them, and don't hide them away and shun them. We are hopefully out of that period in our growth, and so it is safe to come out now and to share those with everyone. Just use your resonance, intuition, gut feeling, whatever you call it, to find the right people to help you. So from all of us to you, have a great night.
Thank you.
Night.
Night.